My poor sick mother never learned how to send a text message. She could not handle the transition to pressing the 2 key 3 times to make a C. Now, even though it's a full keyboard layout on every smartphone, she still does not know how to send a text message. She's traumatized. The phone company traumatized my poor, sick, retard mother. So what church do you belong to? You belong to her church that can't send text messages? Talk about I beat up my mother. I never put her in a hospital. I have had homos and fucking retards following me around for 40 years, Washington. Hide behind my mother, act like I'm not competent. You are complacently incompetent. At least if I was a fucking retard, I'd be angry about it. Make these ridiculous assertions like it was any of your goddamn business to begin with. We were not negotiating. And your excuse for pretending to think we were fled the country several years ago. Statute begins when obstruction ends, because you can torment little boys until they shoot up a school just to cover up robbing and raping and blaming them. Talk about this being a land of opportunity for terrorists. All food comes from the sun. All governments compete. Communism does not exist in the eyes of God. So why would you be compelled to acknowledge its existence to begin with? Well, Islam is not a real religion. Heresy is all at once fundamental and punishable by death. The state is temporary. It's temporal. It's of this world. Religion is permanent. It's forever. So what does the Protestant church really hate? What are they really protesting? So why don't we mitigate Islam's contribution to the equation and see what we're protesting now? If your tradition does not acknowledge separation of church and state, it is a cult. If it performs last rites, establishing a filial tie to the land and its people, it does qualify as a cult, but its currency is subject to custom. Christianity shares the Old Testament with Judaism. There's no Christian who is not a Judeo-Christian. Jesus was a Jew. The Blessed Virgin Mary was a Jew. The first Christians were Jews. I can describe step by step how the Nazis established this field of science, whether or not they were actively participant in the planning of atrocities against the American people, but I can see no other reason, and I see a lot of reasons why this flat earth bamboozlement of America would have been allowed to culminate to such an extent, but that Washington wouldn't know a religion if Jesus Christ jumped out and bit all their asses off all at once from suborbital airspace. Christians can be astronauts. They can leave Earth's gravitational pull. They can defy the laws of physics and yet remain Christians. Imagine that. So Christianity surpasses the laws of this world forever. You can learn something nobody else ever knew before and still be a Christian. What Protestants are really protesting is the First Reich. The sheriff or sharif is a throwback to when Islam invaded Europe. And the thinking behind it, whether or not the unwashed jinglehead masses are aware of it, is that something terrible happened. Some flat earth wizard abducted a 6-year-old and married her in a cave he didn't own. And they're just going to look. They're going to get to the bottom of this. They're just going to look. And they're looking and looking. 1,500 years of dark ages because this flat earth moron won't get back in his boat. Turns out he's a fugitive. He can't go back to where he came from. So I think we found the messenger of Allah. In fact, taxes comes from the Arabic word taqiya. And while people from the round side of the planet they think it just means tribute, which the church calls tithing. However, it comes from a word which implies pretending to be Christian so you can sell these peasants' kids without a say in the matter because you work for that guy. Whether he likes it or not, because you're idiots. You're heavily armed morons. You're terrorists. So religion is a search for universal and eternal truth, whether Washington likes it or not. Now, the First Amendment can rationally protect religion. We no longer have abominations afraid for their lives, allowing flat earth to come and go and sell these little blonde kids out from under us. There's no longer an argument for allowing humanity's greatest enemies to rob us on false pretenses of their own invention and flog us with our own technology until we accept their forgiveness. You get back in your boat.